Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
All right, and welcome to the Popternative podcast. This is the podcast where we have digital discussions to the worlds of pop culture, digital media, and sometimes sports. First of all, I want to wish everyone, I hope everyone is having a great holiday season. And as we get ready for 2018, which is around the corner, really excited to have, I'm really excited about this guest. We've been trying to get him on the show for a while, but we finally made it happen. We're with actor, director, producer. You know him as Scut Farkus from the iconic Christmas movie A Christmas Story. We're with Zack Ward. Zack, welcome to Popternative.
Thank you. Very happy to be here. And how cold and freezing is it in Ottawa?
It's pretty bad. I mean, they're saying to stay in, and it's chilly. Yeah, as you laugh in LA.
Yeah, please enjoy the orange tree. Oh, isn't that nice? And it's a little chilly this morning. I had to wear a sweater.
So yeah. let's get right into it. I mean, a lot of people know you, of course, as Scut Farkus from The Christmas Story, but you've also been a producer, a director, and a writer. You were also on a television show on Fox called Titus, and you've been in a lot of horror movies and produced and directed horror movies. When did you decide that you wanted to go into not only acting, but also like kind of behind the scenes, the kind of directing and producing? Like, when did that start for you?
You know, I started wanting to be an actor when I was a kid. My mom's an actress, and when I was 8 years old, I saw a play out in Stratford, Ontario. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can, absolutely.
Okay. And you know where Stratford, Ontario is. So,
I do.
You know, they had the Shakespeare Festival out there, and my mom was doing Lady Capulet, and she explained to me a lot of the plays, and I saw this one guy in The Taming of the Shrew, and I thought he sucked. And I was 8 years old, and but really, my first thought was I could do that better than that guy. Let's see if I can give it a shot. And so that's how I started acting. And I started doing commercials. And then Christmas Story was my first feature film. And then I just went from there. And I kept on auditioning and getting jobs. And then as I got older, I worked with a lot of different directors. And I got to a point where I knew more than a lot of the directors did. And I don't mean that to be egotistical. I mean, you get hired for a job and then you're working with somebody who doesn't know what the fuck they're doing, and it's annoying. And it kind of inspired me to do it myself. And I came up with a little saying about this. You know, great movies are inspirational and bad movies are motivational, because they make you think that at least you could do better than that guy. And that's all you have to do to start is try. So that's what I did. And that's, it's led me down this path. And now I've done, it's been 38 years. I've done 120 movies, and I've had 4 TV series and blah, blah, blah. And I've written 5 movies that have been made. I've produced 3 and directed 1, and I'm writing a series now. And, you know, my attitude towards the whole thing, man, is I always want to do more, and I always want to do better. And I always look at my own work and think that I could have done it better. Mm-hmm. I could have been smarter.
Perfectionist.
You know, I wish I could go back. Of course, I mean, it's mathematics. Once you get 2 + 2 = 4, you want to do 4 + 4 = 8, and 8 + 60, and it never ends. You're always pushing yourself to see what you can accomplish next, because that's where the challenge lies. Mm-hmm. So,
no, absolutely.
That's.
So before we went on, recorded this, you grilled me for not seeing Restoration. So I think I have to ask about this right now. So this is a film that you directed, correct?
Yeah, Restoration is a movie that I wrote, produced, and directed. I wrote it with James Cullen Bressick, who directed Bethany. Mm-hmm. And so we shot 2 movies in a period of a month. And literally it's like $75,000 per film, and they got full distribution, and some of them were Bethany was in theaters, and Restoration did pretty well. People like it. It's on. I think it's on Redbox, Hulu, um, Amazon Prime. Yeah, iTunes. So, and the cool thing is my mom's in it. My 80-year-old mother is in the movie, and she's fantastic. So I got to have the opportunity to actually direct my mom in a movie.
That's really
Yeah,
cool. What was that? What was that like? Directing her?
terrifying. Yeah, absolutely terrifying. Because she's your mom, but she's also an artist and a craftsperson who cares about what she's doing. So, do you talk to her like your mom, or do you try to lead her? Do you fight for the talent and the craft, or do you pander to the familial relationship that you have with your mom?
Mhm.
And I fought for the craft, and she killed it. She does an amazing job.
No, absolutely. I remember seeing it was it was like the anniversary Christmas story DVD, and there's a lot of interviews. And you mentioned there that you're like how you got into acting, and that your mom was an actress as well. So you mentioned that. I mean, did you? And I've seen there's a lot of interviews out there of a lot of the cast members, but I'm gonna ask you anyway. Did you know, or was there kind of when you were doing the film or you watched it afterwards? Did you kind of think that it was going to be this cult classic that it became at all? Like, how do you even how do you even predict that? You know what I mean?
Nobody could. I mean, you got to understand. The movie did garbage when it came out. Like it was out for 2 weeks. It didn't do very well. It got panned. It got bad reviews. Leonard Maltin thought it was a piece of crap. And then it came out. It was strange. It got re-released a year later. And then Leonard Maltin went on Entertainment Tonight and apologized for his review, which is bizarre. And then it didn't really do anything at all. Like it didn't make any money. And then it started to do really well in VHS. Yeah, where it started to really kick ass was on VHS. People back in the day, like how old are you?
I'm 25.
25. All right, I'm 48. So back in the day, VHS tapes cost like 100 and something bucks. Like they were super expensive, and people really protected them. They collected them. They were important. They weren't disposable garbage. So they would trade them because they were expensive and they were hard to find. And so people started trading Christmas Story VHS tapes back and forth in sort of like a underground market of movie nerds. And it became a movie nerd movie. And then MGM sold their library, and Turner bought it, Turner Network Television. And then they started playing something over Christmas. And usually Christmas is a loss leader. There's no commercials, no advertising being spent for whatever you're playing. That's why they use It's a Wonderful Life by Frank Kafka, because it's got the copyright ran out, so it was free for anybody to use. So they used Christmas Story, and it just became this thing. It built up. The thing that's so different about Christmas Story than any other Christmas movie is Christmas Story was the people's choice. They chose that movie. They fell in love with that film. It wasn't a giant advertising blitzkrieg. Like, look what happened with Star Wars: The Last Jedi. And it's a debacle, right? Like it made $20 million in the first weekend, and it went down to $68 million the second weekend, which is the biggest drop in cinematic history. It's like the Titanic sinking. It's pathetic. And they spent hundreds of millions of dollars advertising it, yet we didn't have any of that. This was not a marketing machine. This was just people falling in love with the movie. And I think that's what makes it such a rarity. You know what I mean?
Oh no,
so
absolutely.
we had no idea that this was going to happen. Nobody had any concept that this was even a possibility.
And no, it's like, but Scut Farkus is such it is a significant part of the whole movie. I mean, there's a scene that if your character wasn't even in it, you know, I mean, like there's like a pivotal scene where Ralphie beats up Scut Farkus. I mean, that is like
Right.
we have big sports guys hear TSN, that's like the TSN turning point of the movie almost,
Right.
where Ralphie's
Right.
like, I just want this air rifle. I'm pissed off. I don't care. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's one of those things where, was it like, talk a little bit about your character, Scut Farkus. How did you kind of prepare for a role like that? When you rewatched it, were you kind of like, wow, this is weird, like kind of seeing yourself on the big screen, because you said it was like your first film. Talk a little bit about that, how that came to be.
Well, because my mom's an actress, when I got the job, she was able to be my coach and walk me through it. And for me, it was an opportunity to make fun of the guys I used to get in fights with when I was in school. I went to 8 different schools before junior high. You know what it's like in Canada, new kid named Zach, red hair, doesn't play hockey. It was a lot of fights. Yeah, so I had the benefit of my mom helping me out, and at the same time, kind of a vengeance on the guys that I used to fight. But for me, the first time I watched myself on the big screen, I was so disappointed at how ugly I was. I started crying. I was like a 13-year-old kid inside the theater with the director and my mom, and it's the scene after when I'm saying cry, cry, baby, cry, and then Bob Clark is like, oh, it's great, and he leaves, and I'm all upset. And my mom's like, honey, what's wrong? I'm like, I look so ugly. And I mean, I fucking did. The fact is, I was 13 years old, big goofy nose, braces. I was at the most awkward age in your life to be on camera when all your hormones are just going crazy. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
The iconic part, like one like element of that film is for Scut Farkus is the laugh. That is an iconic laugh. It is a laugh that kind of comes out of nowhere, where the kids they're just walking, and you just hear it, and then you see you, and the big smile. It's just an instant classic. And there's you're on the like we're all on the internet. It's an instant meme. You know what I mean? Like you're a meme all over the place. So how does it feel to be like a meme?
It's hilarious. It's so weird. It's so weird. For 2 weeks out of the year, I'm relevant, and it's funny. I think it's hilarious.
No, but I mean, it's one of those things too where, you are. I've asked a lot like similar people this as well, where you're like, it doesn't stop for you. I mean, you're known for Christmas Story, but like I said, a lot of horror movie buffs know you from Bethany and Don't Blink, and a lot of big sitcom buffs know you from Titus. So it's not, but the thing is, I'm sure most of the time, and maybe it's like a blessing and a curse, I want to know, but you're only like, is there times where you're kind of like, oh man, like I'm putting all this work out, but maybe people just kind of want to talk about a Christmas Story? Like I'm sure it gets kind of.
It does. I mean, the thing is, after Christmas, by New Year's, I don't need to talk about it for a while. Mm-hmm. Like I do charity from about Thanksgiving through Christmas every year. I go around the country and I raise money for different charities, and I'm happy to talk about it. And I sign autographs and take pictures of people, and it's a Scut Farkus conversation. And by January, New Year's Eve, I just don't want to talk about it for another 8 months. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I've got a good sense of humor about it, but at that point, I've had enough.
No, absolutely.
But I'm very grateful. I feel blessed. I mean, it's a rare thing. I've done a lot of movies. Transformers is a $150 million movie, and I guarantee you no one's going to be watching 24-hour marathons in 35 years. Mm-hmm. And Resident Evil Apocalypse, $70 million movie, no one's going to be watching 24-hour marathons. Almost Famous, $80 million movie, no one's going to be watching marathons. And you don't get to choose your career unless you're a megastar. And even then, that changes. I look at where Brad Pitt is at, look at where Jim Carrey is at. Everything comes and goes. So to be part of something that is turned into an iconic, legendary Americana film and North Americana film is a huge honor. Mm-hmm. I don't take it for granted.
If you are if you're in the spirit of giving, people are always trying to get into making movies. I mean, it's like there's been a big boom, I think, with digital shorts and all of that. And you've directed. You say you're writing as well. Do you have any? Is there some like nuggets of wisdom that you can share about or any funny stories about filmmaking that you can kind of talk a little bit about?
Yeah. I give advice on this all the time, and if you want to become a filmmaker, start short. Maybe find your favorite movie. If you've never done anything before in your life, find your favorite movie. Look online for the script. Find your favorite scene out of that movie, and redo one scene. Redo one scene. Maybe the scene is 1 minute and 30 seconds. I don't care. And just go redo that scene. Shoot it as best you can. Edit it. And it's going to suck. And then you're going to figure out how to make it better. And either you want to do that or you just want to be famous. If you just want to be famous, then don't waste your time or my time or your parents' money. Go do something else. If you really love the work, then you're going to fall in love with the process. And the great thing is now there's no excuse. The access to entry, pick up your phone and go shoot something. If you really want to do it, then you'll do it. If you don't, then you're just talking out your ass.
No, I think, and that's okay. Yeah, and I think what you're saying kind of applies to not only acting, being a professional athlete. I mean, you do it because you love it. I mean, that's kind of what you do. That's why you want to get into it. But I just find too that, with digital media as that kind of like social media with that double-edged sword where there's some great things about it and there's some not so great things about it. Right. I think it's easier to kind of see the people who are truly in it for because they want to be in it and not because or because they just want to be rich and famous right away. I feel like the way people are able to make profiles themselves on social media and post certain things, and you can kind of tell right away, oh man, this guy really loves film, because he's not only promoting his movies or anything, but he's posting about his favorite films, he's posting about Americana and all that. So I was curious about how you kind of see social media as the actor and director and writer you are, because Pop Turnative is a little bit of a social media centric show. I mean, my background's in social media. That's what I studied at school. What do you think about it? What are the things you like about it? What are the things you don't like about it?
I'll tell you, it's it made a huge difference on restoration. We got in the top 6 of iTunes. iTunes horror, we were in the top 6. We were number 6, and Jaws was number 7. And The Krampus was number 3, and The Krampus is a $15 million movie. Mm-hmm. And that was because of, I would say that's because of social media. When it came to Twitter, I just, as you saw, that I hit you back directly. Mm-hmm. That's how we're having this whole conversation. And I literally spent about 4 or 5 hours a day hitting people up on Twitter directly, copying and pasting an introduction, saying hello, and asking them to take a look at the movie, but doing it one after the other. So it wasn't like a group slam. It was, yes, I copy and pasted an introduction, but it was still the time it took to do that. And I mean, I don't have a huge following. I've got about 96,000 followers. But I went through a lot of them and made it, and when they respond and say, oh, I'm on Android, I don't know how to get it because you sent an iTunes link, I'd find an alternative. So it was the direct access to the audience to see if they cared. Mm-hmm. Not all of them did, but I think that reaching out and being personable makes a difference. That's why you and I are talking.
Absolutely.
And then, I mean, I don't think I'm great at social media, to be honest with you. As you can see, I wear glasses. They're trifocals because the little print drives me bananas. It does. It hurts my eyes. But I do my best. I try to be as communicative as I can and as involved. And I think the social media access, the social media part of it makes a different conversation with a specific audience. And I think that's where because you're right. There is so much content, and it's not always good quality. And that's where I have the opportunity to kind of reach out and shake hands with my audience. And that's a new opportunity.
Oh, I like that. The digital handshake with your audience. I really no like that. That's a good way of putting it. And that's unbelievable. Anyway, we'll wrap it up. But Zack, thank you so much for coming on the show. I mean, I've been wanting to have you on for a while, and right after Christmas, like I guess it's like a late Christmas gift that you've come on Popternative.
My pleasure, man. Well, I can't wait to see what you think about Restoration, and now watch my mom's performance, and it's a pretty cool film. And you like Bethany, though?
Yeah, I did. I like Bethany. I mean, like I said, that's another. You know what? Bonus round. Like horror movies, like horror. You seem to be that seems to be kind of your go-to. I mean, what in your perspective, like why do you like what drives you towards horror movies?
I like them because they sort of they encapsulate all the aspects of drama and comedy and high stakes and action. You think about a kung fu movie, it's just about people usually punching each other in the face. You think about a comedy, there's just jokes. You think about a drama, it's usually a lot of tears. Horror does all that. And horror can be whatever you decide for it to be. That's pretty exciting. It can be sci-fi. It can be classic Universal Frankenstein monster type of thing. It can be Cthulhian monsters and different mythologies. And I love that type of storytelling. So to me, it's always an exciting opportunity to play with the uncanny valley of creepiness. So in Restoration, is actually based on a true story. My fiance, her brother, is a general contractor, and he found a Ouija board in the wall of a building he was doing a renovation on. And the building's from the 1930s, and that means it's all lath and plaster type of wall, meaning that to put a wooden Ouija board in the wall takes a lot of effort. So somebody had to be pissed at somebody to do that. I just thought that was a really interesting concept, and I wanted to see where I could take that.
No, very cool. No, because like I said, there was kind of like a trend when people see kind of what you've been up to and what you've been doing. Yeah, you mentioned a lot of the other films you've been in. There's like a horror trend, and it's my favorite genre, and I think then especially the last kind of 2-3 years, it's been an unbelievable time for horror movies. I mean, it's just. The amount of the quality and the creativity of horror films has just been amazing. And obviously I'm not talking about the big budgeted movies as well. I'm talking about the smaller budgets, the indies as well. It's just there's been kind of a boom with the creative of horror films.
Yeah, you look at something like The Babadook. Babadook was amazing. It was a fantastic film.
No, absolutely. Well, Zack, thank you again. What does 2018 have in store for Zack Ward? What are you able to tell us?
Getting over this cold, which would be awesome, and then writing a series called Fracture, and we go into production in February, and that's young adult sci-fi dystopian nightmare sort of Mad Max type world. I'm very excited about it. And then outside of that, let's see, I get married in August. So that'll be fun. And then who knows? Who knows? Oh, and there's also All Sports Market. So you can go to allsportsmarket.com and you can invest in sports teams like you do in stocks. And I'm the CEO of that company on the West Coast.
Very cool. No, we'll definitely, we'll put all your, when we post the episode, we'll put all your links, all your social media links, all links for people to check out Restoration as well. Well, thank you so much, and all the best in 2018.
Thanks, brother. You too.
No problem.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Well, Happy New Year, everyone. This has been Popternative. You can catch previous episodes of Popternative on our YouTube page, on iTunes as well, popternative.com for more content as well. Until next time, this is Zack Ward, a.k.a. Scut Farkus, and PD Beats, signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.